What are the best and worst shrines in Tears of the Kingdom? My initial thought when working on this video was to rank all 152 of them into a tier list based on several criteria. But then a little spaceman angel showed up on my shoulder to remind me that that's more shrines than Gen 1 Pokemon, and considering how bad my upload schedule is, I should probably narrow down my scope just a little. So instead of ranking all of the shrines, I decided to focus only on what I thought were the 7 best and 7 worst shrines in the game. Key phrase, what I thought. Feel free to share your experience with the shrines in the comments below. Overall, I tried to rank these shrines based on 3 criteria: difficulty, creativity, and finally we have enjoyment/annoyance, which is the most subjective of the 3, but I really needed to have some sort of tiebreaker for most of these. Now let's skydive into my list of the best and worst shrines in Tears of the Kingdom. Number 7. These are the ones that aren't that bad or that good, but they still made it to the list. A reflective device. There's a bunch of shrines that focus on showcasing how certain Zonai devices function, but I thought this particular shrine was one of the best since the light puzzles were used for several overworld shrines as well as one of the major dungeons. The device itself wasn't too complicated to use, but it doesn't really have much use outside of solving those couple of puzzles, so this shrine was a good boot camp on what you have to do, especially since you probably never used them, and if you did, what did you use it for? I'm curious. Alignment of circles. This is one of those shrines that is incredibly easy to solve if you notice the glowing circles on the ceiling and the fact that they matched up with the circles on the ground. Otherwise, you would have had to brute force the ball placements, trying out all the different combinations so much that you'd have to start proving to the shrine that you're not a robot. Alright, please identify all of the pictures that contain a Korok. The main reason this shrine goes on the bad list is that it over relies on the player noticing the circles on the ceiling, which I did by accident. But considering the ceiling is useless to look at for literally all the rest of the game, most people probably did not bother. I liked what they did with the hidden floor tile for the treasure chest at the end, but again, too much reliance on looking up. More like looking it up on Google, am I right? Legends of the Soaring Spear. This is one of those shrines where you have to do an overworld challenge to unlock it, and then it's just a Rauru's blessing inside. However, unlike the 500 carry the crystal shrines, this one comes with a clue from a notebook in an abandoned campsite, along with some spears and key swings. To complete the challenge, all you have to do is glue a wing to a spear and then toss it through a hoop. I thought this was a pretty innovative way to open up a shrine while also teaching the player the benefits of attaching key swings in case they haven't tried it out already, and it definitely beats having to carry just another crystal. A precise strike. On the surface, this shrine seems pretty fun. You're basically playing mini golf and need to get a hole in one to complete the shrine. However, the shrine was very finicky. Unless you got the block placement and the angle just right, the ball would overshoot or fail to jump the gap. And then you have to trigger a device to stop your swinging hammer and spawn in the next ball, which was also finicky. Maybe I'm just really uncoordinated, but the amount of times I had to reset the reset button was too many. And this was frustrating because not only did I feel the need to pull out a protractor just to figure out the right angle for the hammer thing, which is already too many protractors for a video game, I had to waste an extra minute trying to reset the hammer for my next attempt. More than defense. First you got a guy coming at you with a flamethrower shield, which you needed to use to melt the ice. Then you got a guy with a tile fused to his shield, which you need to walk through the fire. And then you have a room with rockets, which you have to fuse to your shield to fly over the wall and complete the shrine. Unlike all of the other shrines that you've cheesed this way, you were actually supposed to use the rocket shield in this one. I liked it since it was a good showcase of all the things you can do with shields that aren't just defense. Get it? It's the name of the shrine. I like it. Force transfer. This is one of those shrines that got me very frustrated because of how punishing it is. In the first room, you glue a little stick to connect some gears, and in the second, you have to use 2 sticks and a big rotating gear to push these sliding platforms upward. But it is so easy to get that big gear stuck, and if you want it spinning again, you have to use recall on it to go back to the first room, reattach the original stick, and then come back. It's kind of like that putt-putt shrine earlier, where one small mistake led to wasting an extra minute of your time just to get the whole thing ready for another try. I was very tempted to use the rocket shield jump just to skip this one, but I really wanted to figure out a proper solution, so I ended up using recall to move the sliding platforms and then just get out that way. Apparently this is how you're actually supposed to solve it, which I would have figured out if the game didn't waste my time for every small mistake I made. Alignment. This shrine triggered my OCD in a good way. All you have to do is use the recall ability to adjust some of the spinning blocks so that they're all aligned, and you can ascend your way to the top. But something about the process felt very satisfying, kind of like getting the cold side of the pillow on a hot summer night. Drifting Flame. This shrine felt tedious and confusing. Once again, the first room was pretty easy since all you had to do was light a torch and then throw it to light a fire and open the door. But the second half has you step on a button that lowers the things you need to light, and there's no torches you can throw at them. The rails are way too high to shoot through. Okay, maybe Link is just too short, and there's seemingly no other tools you can use. So your only options are to put the candlestick under each of the 3 torches and then use recall to get them high enough to light them up, or just stand on top of the candlestick and shoot fire arrows like I did. Neither solution felt very satisfying, and this mechanic never showed up again in the rest of the game. Thank goodness. The Courage to Jump. This is the shrine I wish other Zonite shrines were like. You get a ready-to-go car that you drive through a low-gravity environment, making some dangerous jumps, ramming through a bunch of robots, and then jetpacking over the final cliff to reach the blessing. It was fast-paced, fun, and made the Zonite devices feel very powerful. Also, was it just me, or did this shrine give us a better racing experience than Terrytown? Forward Force. Raise of hands, how many of you figured out what you're actually supposed to do here? Because most people I know were very confused on this part. I wouldn't necessarily call this shrine bad because unlike many of the other bad shrines that have at most 2 ways of solving them, this one has many, and most of you probably found some weird way to get that ball up the platform. The real reason this shrine is so high on this list is because it's one of the first shrines you'll run into when you start the game, long before you've gotten used to its physics and mechanics. It kind of felt like one of those college classes where they teach you that 2 + 2 is 4 and then you show up for the test and they're like, Link had 3 apples and used 1 to find the Korok. Calculate how long Hyrule has before the moon starts falling on it. So I guess this shrine was bad, but in a good way. Unlit Blessing. After seeing the simple Rauru's Blessing shrines a million times, I was a bit confused as to why there were suddenly fire flowers in this one. And then right before I walked onto the final section, the floor kinda just drops on me. Am I supposed to climb this? Link, please climb the wall. Link, it's a wall, you can climb. Come on, Link, I believe in you. But then it all made sense. I'm supposed to use the fire flowers and bow that the game gave me to light the unlit torches. It was a nice unexpected spin on the typical free shrine, and you can bet your biscuits I was on edge every time I walked into another Rauru's Blessing looking shrine. Sadly, this was the only one of its kind. Guess it's the only one that never sneezed. The Ice Guides You. This is one of the few times where I wish the crystal delivery would have just led to a Rauru's Blessing, because instead of that, we get a shrine with a bunch of ice fruit and ice devices and need to hit a target that up until this point you've probably only hit with one of those shrine balls. Instead, you're supposed to slide the ice down the slope and let it hit the target instead, but the name suggests that the ice is supposed to guide you. So I ended up being very confused on what the heck I'm supposed to slide down this ice plane that I set up, and the ice did not guide me. Before I get to the best and worst shrines of the game, I thought I'd share some of my dishonorable mentions. These were shrines that almost made it to the worst list, but weren't quite that bad. A Fixed Device. You have to use the little stakes to play baseball and hit the target. I personally didn't struggle with this shrine too much, but my friend Captain Astronaut had an absolutely horrible time here. Half of the time the stick attached to the stake would just break off instead of hit the ball, and it wasn't super clear that you were supposed to use the stake to build a bat in the first place. He's usually pretty good at video games, so seeing him struggle so much on this shrine made me want to put it on the list. Also, great channel, go check out his videos, they're pretty fun. Proving Grounds. The Hunt. It was a cool shrine that showcased how the little Roomba devices worked, but it gets a dishonorable mention since the Proving Ground shrines go from very hard to very easy depending on how many hearts you have, and I did not have nearly enough hearts to enjoy this one. Bridging the Sands. You have to use wooden planks and sliding devices to get across the sands, and if you fall off or hit a wall, you're screwed. The sand eats away at your stamina faster than the delivery guy runs away from your door, even though you need the sign to get your package delivered. Sir, please wait at least 15 seconds, I cannot run down the stairs fast enough. Anyways, this shrine just felt tedious and punishing, so I gave up on trying to do all of the extra fun stuff and got out as soon as I could. Alright, that's enough filler. Number 1. Proving Grounds. Vehicles. This shrine was the most fun of all, since you can take a bunch of different pre-built vehicles for a joyride while running over all of the robots who will not hesitate to bonk you if you fail to make a turn. Kinda reminded me of the good old days when I used to play this game called Carmageddon, which apparently was banned in several countries. But apart from the nostalgia for an obscure video game, it lets the player go ham with these Zonite devices, and I kinda wish there were more shrines like these that showcased how you could use these devices in battle. The right roll. This was by far the most annoying and difficult shrine in the entire game, at least for me. It really felt like I needed an engineering degree to figure out how to distribute the weight on these 3 balls so that they roll down the hill and hit the target at the end. Unlike the circles on the ceiling shrine, there was no hint about what the right alignment was. I got so frustrated that I ended up trying to manually smack the target with Ultra Hand, except the rotation didn't have enough momentum. In hindsight, I could have probably attached the ball to a spear and thrown it, or some other cheesy way to trigger the target, but I always tried to find a solution that's within the shrine instead of using tools that I got outside of it. The thing about this shrine is that it really wanted me to do ball science, and if I wanted to do that, I'd be a urologist, not a YouTuber. Overall, I thought that most of the shrines in the game were like the food at a buffet. Plenty of variety, with some overarching themes, and most of them were just alright. Nothing too exceptional, and nothing too horribly bad either. In fact, I had to cut this list down to 7 instead of 10, since I didn't feel like there were enough outstanding shrines to talk about in the first place. And in general, what made shrines stand out were things like the possible solution set in the case of bad shrines, or things that created aha learning moments for the good ones. Of course, this meant people's experiences and perceptions of these shrines would vary greatly. Maybe you already knew about Rocket Shield and thought the shrine was super bland and boring, or maybe you liked the classic Zelda puzzles and really enjoyed sitting there scratching your brain trying to figure out the solution to the Drifting Flame shrine, which couldn't be easily cheesed. So I am kinda curious which shrines you personally enjoyed or did not enjoy. If a specific one comes to mind, do leave a comment down below. I look forward to seeing if any patterns emerge with what's considered a good or bad shrine. And since you've made it this far, congratulations! Here's a Rauru's blessing. I probably won't be making many more Zelda videos, but if you like my style, why not stick around for my analysis of the towns in Tears of the Kingdom? Or maybe check out this secret unlisted video that I made a while back on why Ganon failed to take over Hyrule in the first game. Either way, thanks for watching, stay healthy, and I hope to see you around.